of security that's not actually there. Maybe, I don't know, because there was such a bloodlust in the way that we watched Splinter Squadron fly on that third phase. There was no chance. They didn't have a chance of taking it down. So
well,
we come in. Go ahead.
They knew that there was no way that they could come back from it if they didn't do it right then and there. And that's, you know, ultimately that's what makes a great competitor, right? Recognizing when is the time to put everything on the line when it wouldn't normally make sense to do that.
Well, we will start things off here on Yavin with Fenkar versus Cheese and the Bombers. Again, one player to note, I believe it was, oh my goodness, my brain is blank, Brunus. I believe it was Brunus. I needed to write it down. Who got 35k capital ship damage in that game number 1. We looked at Fenkar as being like, oh wow, look at him doing all of this work. And to be fair, Cheese put up the highest number, but he was alone at the top at like 53, and then you dropped to like 15 or 20-ish for his next teammate. Brunus was nearly matching Fenkar in damage there. The two of them combined, the dual threat option, giving a big part of what gave Splinter the win there.
You know, the defender might be the best at chaining dead drifts, but Jareen in that interceptor, I don't think he flew straight one time while we were looking at him.
He is just, Dinky's here is also flying backwards the whole time, flying straight into X-Wings.
Yeah, we have a very interesting back and forth here. I love Yavin, I really do. I said to Hunted earlier, you know, it anchors the Star Wars timeline. It's the iconic moment, you know, the Death Star blowing up, the start of the tide, the rebellion. Well, in this, we don't really have anything that's quite so symbolic, right? Because if one frigate goes down, that's not the end of the world. If both go down, that could be really problematic. But we don't have that sort of one hole that we can shoot one proton torpedo into to save the day.
Yeah.
Here we have to fight it out and grind it out, and I do kind of wonder whether one day we're going to be able to do a, you know, like one death per phase kind of thing for pilots. That'd be really interesting, I think, to see how that panned out.
That'd be pretty. I feel like you almost need bigger than 5v5 for that to really work, but I'm super down for it. Let's try it.
Yeah, we will do whatever we can, right?
We will see. It was a for the first time we're seeing Splinter lose the opening phase and be on defense to start things off. See how do they play from a leg down. Can they keep both their ships alive? We'll follow in Gray Squadron, follow their Corvette in.
Yeah, Scoutwalker here making use of the rotary cannon on the Y-wing. Look at him, he's got the squadron mask up, he's got full over shields, and he's going straight in towards some objective damage. And that's how we like to play.
I think it was, I believe Scalpwalker was the interceptor that he was trying to chase there and wasn't able to get any damage on. It's something Scalpwalker talks about, like he loves being that nuisance or being that distraction. Like, hey, come get me. He's almost like is it the snitch in Quidditch?
He's like the bludgers. The bludgers in Quidditch. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, you know, it's distraction, right? If you can stop your opponent from doing what they want to do because they're having to deal with you instead, and your team knows that that's happening, it's very easy to leverage that advantage.
This was so clean from Splinter Squadron, already on offense. Yeah. Neither ship had time to have shields get taken down. We'll see how we'll watch Fenkar go to work. Fenkar switching off the bomber onto a standard tie. I'm interested to see what loadout he's flying here.
Yeah, so I think probably for the piercing torpedoes is what I would expect.
Yes, and he's also got some ion torpedoes. So
yeah,
running the objective. He's running the objective loadout for the tie.
Yeah, he's the guy who takes the wire cutters. You know.
Now watching Cheese try to get morale swung back to the way in the Y. That's his job. Concentrating on the AI farming. Both shields already down and one frigate having work done on it by this raider.
The meme beam. So much fun to look at, you know. He loves playing these objectives. He likes to prove that you can be mobile in these bigger, more sluggish ships that everybody else is less a fan of, you know. But I think that's really one of the things that I love the most about this, in a way that you maybe don't get so much with the more straightforward games, is that different roles shine at different parts of the game in a way that I've don't think any other esports has really shined to me for. So
Yeah.
it's really fun to watch. Like
Ooh.
every time somebody dies, I'm like, are they going to spawn in the same ship? I don't know. I'm looking. I'm leaning
Yeah.
forward. You know, I want to see.
One thing we're seeing from Brunus, I think, that is really smart, is using the three-dimensionality of the field. It's so easy to kind of just still think about it in 2 dimensions because we're so used to. But he attacking from way on high, falling down, dive bombing onto these frigates. It's just it's a dimension that you have to force yourself to think about. Your opponents, if they're not actively trying to look in that space, they'll just completely miss it. As on first assault, we will see again Splinter Squadron take down one of the frigates from Gray Squadron, and now the shield's down on both of their frigates and or their cruisers, one at half health, but still phase 2 now for Gray Squadron as they are trailing a bit.
Yeah, this is a challenging situation, I think, for Gray Squadron. I did see that Rinky swapped off the A-Wing into an X-Wing, so I don't know how significant that change was, to be perfectly honest with you, but it seems like they've got a full rack right now in terms of resources, and Fenkar, though, is, you know, like, he just is spending a lot of time doing things that the other team would like him not to be doing. That's my impression.
We are seeing, looks like the bomber player's cheese also coming from on high.
Yeah, that's how Birds of Prey do it, you know? Like, how does the Hawk hunt? They don't do it from the same level that they're praised at, that's for sure.
Oh, those are the high level things these players are good at, on top of being masters of their aircraft, literally. It looks like, but here again, my goodness, no way, we've swapped sides again. The productivity of these interceptors immediately swinging things back in their favor, and through 2 phases now, Gray Squadron yet to take out a cruiser.
Yeah, Gray Squadron having some real trouble here, trying to push forward and sort of take this pack disadvantage. They just can't seem to find the morale, no matter what they do. We see Cheese, you know, going after these AI ships, you know, just the way they just fly along in a little cube. It's so easy to just spray the rotary cannon around them, picking them up one by one, especially when you're playing as the Republic and they don't have any shields on those TIE fighters. It's almost too easy, and I think he feels like enough of that has been done. Is he swapping? No, he just resupplied.
The problem is on defense, you can't use your cruisers to resupply. And also, their cruiser is short for this world. Taken out, the Raider just gets one volley onto it, and they are onto the MC-75 with both cruisers still standing. And this creates so much pressure here, Silent, because the entirety of Splinter Squadron can just fall back to their cruisers to resupply. The amount of pressure that is about to be coming out is very strong. They're letting the Raider move in by itself. They don't even need it right now. All the Raider is free morale for the other team. It's not going to be doing much of a damage. The bomber runs, the defender runs that are about to be coming out from this team, they're actually just sticking on the ion proton builds with their TIE fighters. No actual bombers coming out from the Empire here as they try to push back in, run straight into a wall of respawning Rebel fighter pilots as well.
Well, here's the thing, right? Is like in this situation, you've pushed them back so far that they're very tightly grouped a lot of the time. You know, the other team is in the same place. You take a bomber into that situation, the 3 of them are going to kill you. So when you've taken down those initial cruisers, it really compresses the battlefield. You know, and that's, I think, the hardest part to overcome that defense is that the rest of the opposing team seems to have all of the field to work with, while you're just sort of crammed into the space around your flagship while you try to figure out how to make progress. And I don't know how you make progress in this situation. This looks like it's just done. I think that maybe there's a mentality issue here. Not in like a serious way, but just in the sense that like these guys had a great day where they won a lot, and this was the first time that they came up against real opposition to sort of kind of force them into that loss in that first game. And now look at where we're at. Well, and they 2-0'd in the first round. So
you said that when they played in the group stage, I mean, this was an out-of-phase victory. Close. It was such a close game. It required them kind of playing at the edges of the limits of the game to take home the victory. At this point, we're watching Splinter Cell. Spike did it again. Splinter Squadron.
You've done it every time.
Dude, it's what I think of every time that they do this. They're probably going to actually lose a frigate finally here, a light cruiser finally. But yeah, we saw in that push, they left the Raider to go. They went back and resupplied, and then they just ran back in, got both shield generators. That honestly, they're happy to die and fall back and defend the 2 cruisers that still stand at this point. They're going to get a free Corvette for morale, and then just try and fend off a few fighters. There's only 2 kind of anywhere near the danger zone right now. So we'll see. They've got so much of a lead at this point. They can afford to play that passive role, which is how Scalp likes to play. This is a player who plays the Interceptor from kind of a wait for you to move into my territory and then light you up, and rather than chase you into your territory style, and he'll be able to pick them off one by one. They do lose both cruisers without gaining much morale, so we might see things starting to swing back the other way, but they are able to pick off these fighters one by one. You see them lit up there on your screen. And the support fire from the Star Destroyer is going to help pick them off as well.
Yeah, getting marked up there is problematic for sure, because it just makes it so much easier for everybody to know where you are and how to kill you. And in this situation, you know, they've got to do so much damage right now. If he's the focusing on the objective, you know, his job is going to be extremely difficult. You see Pseudo dodging missiles, trying to dip under the shields for long enough to get some shots on that generator, but not able to do so.
Yeah,
it's just being rebuffed at every time they try to do something. It feels like Grey Squadron are closing the Splinter Squadron are closing the door on them. Yeah, no, it was very close, and you'll see Pseudo try to at least finish this off out of phase before getting absolutely annihilated by the artillery from the Star Destroyer. The Raider comes in, and at this point, instead of the Raider pushing in by itself this time, it's going to have a full wing following in behind him, 5 fighters coming on. It'll be 1 Interceptor, 2 Defenders this time around. 2 Interceptors, 2 Defenders, and a Reaper. So a very strong offensive lineup pushing on to this completely exposed, shieldless MC-75. Yeah, I think this is where we call it, to be honest with you. You know, it's going to take a miracle for Grey Squadron to turn this around. They're going to have to, you know, wipe or something.
Power system's down.
It doesn't look like that's going to happen with District going out early. And I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know. That's really interesting. You know, it's not often I'm in the situation where I'm commentating a game and I don't know what one team needs to do in order to beat the other. But in this situation, you know, everything's so new, it's so dramatic. These guys clearly have a way better knowledge of what's going on than I do. But a last-minute bounce there from Cheese, or is?
No, yeah, it looks like.
I mean, look at this.
I mean, Gray did manage to take out the Raider and also completely wipe the enemy team. So Splinter Squadron does have to reset here a bit. They have completely taken out the power systems and the shields on the MC-75. So next run will do it, but there is breathing room here. There isn't a moment of opportunity, and we saw Grey Squadron get onto the shield generators after being exposed in front of the ships. Can they actually finish them off? The right shield generator goes down, left shield generator falling. And that'll open up a lot of room for the Corvette to start putting its damage in. Does that shield generator go down? It does. And you'll see those shields drop quickly as they move on to the power systems. Game's starting to get a little bit closer.
If they can pull this back, I'm going to be astonished. But that full wipe looked like it came in at just the right time. Yeah, you see a couple of opportunity shots at some turrets as well, because you can destroy the turrets on the Star Destroyer and the MC-75, make it easier to fly in. Obviously, once the gun control goes down, then it's much, much easier. But yeah, this is
just as we had said it. Just as we had said it, they managed to line them up in their sights, wipe Grey Squadron off the field of play, and they'll wipe them T-75 as well.
Way too many weak spots on that hull. It's all over. That's all they wrote for Grey Squadron. What a fantastic day for them in the group stages, and you know, sweeping through round 1 no problem, but coming up for the rematch that I was hoping we would see, and I'm so happy that I got to cast it. Look at these stats here. You know, such an even game. Everybody having to do a little bit of everything.
No, but look at Brunus. Brunus outgunning Fenkar on the capital ship damage. Brunus was the player, was kind of the key unsung hero of game number 1, really backing up Fenkar when they were in a rough spot.